Hello, Paul Fraze here aboard USS Cod. We're back this week and we're talking again about safety and survival aboard the fleet boats. As we mentioned earlier in last week's episode, we talked about the watertight doors, and it was a very mutually beneficial posting because the veterans shared a lot of information that frankly we were not aware of, so it's a good two-way communication. This week, though, we're going to talk about something bad that's already happened to the boat, and the crew is awaiting rescue. Now, we know that the boat is survivable because of the watertight doors. You may have segments of the boat, pressure compartments flooded, and you're awaiting rescue. You're going to need air. Now, that, I believe, is something we're going to cover at a later date. Suffice to say, you need to scrub out the CO2 that's going to build up depending on the number of men in a compartment. And again, we'll discuss that later. But, rescue can take maybe several days or even longer. And one of the certain daily needs is going to be food, sustain yourself, food and water. And that was all considered in the safety systems aboard fleet subs. And I think a lot of this is probably based on the horrific experience pre-war when men were trapped in earlier types of American submarines, sometimes for weeks, and then died from lack of, too much carbon dioxide, basically. Horrific experiences. The USS Squalus rescue was the first really successful submarine rescue operation, and that pointed out, I believe, a lot of lessons that were adopted in later submarines, because the men in the Squalus had to wait several days to be rescued, and so of course that meant they had to eat. So throughout the boat, there are emergency ration lockers. Now in the two forward and the after torpedo rooms, there are specific ration lockers where rations were stowed, locked, and periodically renewed. That would provide food for the men in those rooms, because those areas were considered rally points, or areas where you would either exit the boat or await rescue. So if something had happened, you would get to those compartments, and of course you could use the forward escape trunk repeatedly. The after room was its own one-shot escape trunk. So you would hopefully gather the surviving crewmen in there and either await rescue or effect a rescue, self-rescue by leaving the boat. But let's say some calamity has occurred where the men here in the engine room, the motor machinist mates, are stuck. Maybe the forward room and the after room are flooded and they're stuck in here. Well, there are some lithium hydroxide canisters in the overhead that will allow them to rebreathe the oxygen over and over that's in the room. There's also oxygen tanks to dope up the atmosphere. Again, that's something we'll talk about later. But they're going to need to eat, and you can't order carryout or delivery. There was no DoorDash for sunken submarines. So the Navy installed in various compartments these emergency ration lockers. And of course, like everything, it's got some simple to follow instructions. Emergency rations: break glass, remove guard. Contents to be renewed once every quarter or oftener. There's a word I wasn't aware of. Now, we have gone ahead and removed the lock we keep on this, but I'm going to go ahead and open this up very carefully, because you notice the one in the maneuvering room has broken glass. We do not want to break that glass, although we could probably fix it. So I've removed that. I'm going to lift up this little guard. Geez, you'd never find something like that. Now, of course, in here I have put fruit cocktail and Starfire tuna in water. So this is more contemporary stuff, and there's also something on the bottom. When you guys opened this up earlier, did you guys feel around in here? There's something on the bottom here. Do we want to see? do we want to show the public what's in here? Okay, here's an added bonus, folks. Oh, we could use that rag. That's a nice clean rag. I'm not sure why. Well, it's got a little bit of oil stain. Okay, so contents includes one 14 by 20 blue service rag. So this would contain, I am told by the old guys on the cod, it would have had C rations, stacked blocks. This is what the Army would eat. Or there might have been K rations. Again, the one is a canned meal. The other one is a dry boxed meal. But there would have been food in there to keep the guys at least from starving to death. And if you're familiar at all with survival rations in World War II, for pilots, yeah, get back on my beautiful face. I look like I've never missed a meal. So aircraft survival vests and survival kits for pilots, the rations literally are charms, hard candies that are really doctored with extra sugar and vitamins. So we're not talking about, a Big Mac. We're talking about something to keep your body functioning and not shutting down. So in here, you had the Army kind of field rations, but I'm told by the guys on the cod in later years that they would literally stow cans of tuna fish and fruit cocktail, peas, did I say peas? God, I hate vegetables. Pears and peaches. Things that, are going to have a high caloric content and you're going to want to eat. So that would have been put in here. So I'm going to go ahead and put this stuff back in here. Again, this is to illustrate to our visitors just what was in here to show that. And I think we can use that rag. I'm going to put this back in there. Again, that's probably to keep the contents from rattling about. And frankly, if you're going to break the glass, why not just open it? I guess whatever they had in there, they didn't want the crew to be eaten unless it was an emergency, so they wanted you to break the glass. Maybe that kept the shards from falling in and damaging the contents. I mean, geez. So there we go. And apparently that indicates that they did keep it locked, so we have our lock on there. So there's some food. Again, regardless whether or not it's a K ration, a C ration, or you're going to be opening up a can of peaches. Hopefully you got a can opener, and being the engine room, I'm sure there's tools in here, or the little whatever that thing is. Again, I'm not a veteran. You veterans, chime in on the comments. What is that? Is it an M6 or whatever? The little can opener that you carried on your key ring. You'd get the food open. But that's one part of it. Now, what about water? Well, the engines are cooled by a two-system, a two-loop cooling system. The outer cooling circuit is seawater, but the inner circuit, well, it's fresh water. Now, I don't know if they put some kind of rust inhibitor or something in there. That might not be good. There might be freshwater tanks, emergency freshwater tanks here in the engine room. I know you could probably drink the distilled water in the forward engine room, but they did account for that in the torpedo rooms, because in addition to the emergency ration lockers, they had potable water tanks. So we're going to go right there now in our after room and have a look at that. All right, so here we are in the after torpedo room. Evan got through ahead of me. We're on the port side, and this is our upper skid. And normally there'd be a torpedo here, but we have our display cases here. But there is a large tank right here. This is the freshwater tank. In fact, here's part of the supply valve for emergency FW tank fill. So your freshwater fill tank. And that has got to be, I would say, at least 200 gallons, maybe 250 gallons. Again, we have to go back to the qual manual, or any of you vets, if you know what the capacity for the after torpedo room freshwater tank, again, chime in on the comments. But it's a substantial tank of fresh water, and you can see there's drain pipes, and here's a spigot that you could get that water out to drink. And that literally was fresh water for crew drinking, potable water. You could also use it probably for washing things down, maybe the torpedoes as well when you had Mark 14s. But that was certainly drinkable water. So God forbid you were in a calamitous situation and you had to rely on your emergency rations as well as the water in these tanks. Now, if your situation was so dire and you were going to be stuck awaiting rescue for quite a long time and you exhaust your emergency food rations, I am told that the Navy devised a special kind of a liquid well, I want to call it it's not a refreshment. It's a liquid that would be pumped through the ship's salvage air system, such that the crew inside would drink this kind of syrupy pink liquid that was chock full of sugar and some vitamins. It would keep you alive. It's not manna from heaven, but it would sustain you until you were rescued. Again, I'm told that by the COD crew. They're sadly now long gone. So if any of you watching have any experience or knowledge of that, again, don't hesitate to comment in the comments section and fill us in. Did you ever taste the mysterious pink liquid? And I'm not talking about Pink Lady or torpedo juice. I know a lot of you are already probably on the keyboard talking about that. God forbid it gets so dire that you're drinking the torpedo juice or the Pink Lady. We didn't want to talk about that, but there was a thick, syrupy liquid that could be pumped down from a surface ship that would allow the crew to survive until rescue. So here's hoping that nobody ever has to use those. And remember to hit the like, subscribe, notification bell, and hopefully by the time you see this, we've made the 10,000 subscription mark and we'll be celebrating like drunken sailors. Thanks a lot.